So this is where it all began, here in Falmouth in West Cornwall in England. This is where I embraced van life. So I was doing some PhD related studies down here in West Cornwall at the Penryn campus, Exeter University. Not in Exeter, in Penryn in Cornwall. And I was staying here at the what at the time was the Falmouth Backpackers, just staying there overnight. Sadly no longer the Falmouth Backpackers. And at the time I needed to find somewhere to rent, so I looked at a room next door, basically a broom cupboard, £650 per month. But I did need to find somewhere to rent, or so I thought. Now, I had a chat with Judy, who was the kind of the owner of the Falmouth Backpackers, and lamented the high cost of renting and the difficulty of finding anywhere other than a tiny broom cupboard in Falmouth. It's a university town, only a small town, big campus in Penryn, the next little village along, town along, and I also said, well, I do need to get a car as well, and she basically said, well, I'm looking to get rid of my Blingo, my little tiny Citroen Blingo, little cargo van. And she offered that van to me for £600, and I took one look at it and said, yes, I'll have it. So it's very much spur of the moment. And then I started to look on YouTube and discovered kind of van life, people living in their vans, and I thought, well, hang on a minute. Judy, the owner of the Blingo, has got just a mat in the back of the van, because she uses it to travel around Cornwall, and she just crashes in the back of the van. So a sheet of matting across the whole of the back of the van, and that's basically what she used it for. She'd throw a kayak or bodyboard in there and just go and visit friends somewhere else in Cornwall, and would crash in the back of the van when she needed to. Now I thought, well, hang on a minute, I could live in there. So I spent £600 on the van, and at the time there were snow blizzards in Falmouth. So as a teenager, well actually I was 9 or 10, and going to school, at night I would go fox watching, so I'd wait for my mum and dad to go to bed. They were, I thought, blissfully unaware of this. I'd wait for them to go to bed, and about 11 at night I would unlock the door to their house and wander out into the streets and go fox watching. And I, over a couple of years, habituated a local family of foxes to my presence, and that's what I would do 2 or 3 nights a week. But by about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd be knackered, and so I'd just scramble under a hedge and go to sleep. And then the following morning, about 5 a.m, I'd scramble out of the hedge and rush back to the house. Obviously, I thought at the time that my parents didn't know about these nighttime escapades, but eventually, after probably 2 years, I was finally caught in the act of coming back in early in the morning, because my dad had to get to work early. And they confessed that they actually knew all about it all along, and they didn't mind that I left the door unlocked all night. So yeah, it's clearly I just wanted to be outside and not live in a conventional house. So also at that time, during my kind of school years, I decided to abandon my bedroom at my parents' house and move onto the sofa. So every night I would sleep on the sofa and turn that into my little kind of mini bedroom in the living room, which probably baffled my parents, but they went along with it. Didn't really have much choice. And then they were the kind of obvious early indicators that something wasn't quite right with me. And fast forward a bit to when I went to university to do a master's in ecology. The last 6 months of that, so I did it over 2 years, and the last 6 months funds were getting low, so I'd managed to finance it all myself up until then, because I'd been working for about a decade by then professionally, earning reasonable amount of money. But the last 6 months I thought, I'm going to run out of money, so I decided to move into the MSc room on campus. That was a room that was dedicated to my study group, my year group. They had a dedicated room, and I could just basically wait until everyone left in the evening, carry on working on the computer, then lock the door from the inside, drag out my sleeping bag and roll mat, which I had hidden in a cupboard there. Everyone knew it was there. All the students, anyway, my year group knew what I was doing. And then scramble up and out at about 5 in the morning, the following morning, and get out of the building before the cleaners arrived. So yeah, I managed to secretly live in the MSc room. It ended up being about 8 months in the end, because I stayed a couple of months beyond finishing the MSc, just to do some write-up, my dissertation for publication, that kind of stuff. So that was another indication that I was being very unconventional. And then 2 years after that, which is about 2013, I went to Cambodia for 4 months. And there, where I was studying kind of tiger prey availability for a tiger reintroduction project, they're extinct in Cambodia. But there I just lived in a hammock basically most of the time. So rather than actually rent somewhere, although I did some of the time, I did rent low-cost backpacker type rooms. Rather than do that most of the time, I just slept in a hammock in parkland around areas of open space, basically in Phnom Penh and Siem Reap and elsewhere in Cambodia. So again, roughing it, living minimally was very much my style back in those days, but I still hadn't really thought of van life. I hadn't discovered that at all. So had I discovered it a lot earlier in life, I could have saved an awful lot of money, because I was earning decent money professionally. I've worked in kind of professional roles in my field, which is nature conservation, for about 25, approaching 30 years probably now. I've not added it up. If only I'd discovered van life earlier. I do remember actually when I was working for a conservation organisation based in Salisbury, where I did rent a room in a shared house. One of my members of staff did actually live in a van, but it didn't occur to me to do anything like that. So yeah, plenty of early signs that I would live an unconventional life. And back to 2018, February 2018, we're in Falmouth, where it all began, and back then there was a blizzard. It was caught in unusually cold, icy, snowy conditions, and that's when I moved into the Blingo, which I purchased from Judy from Falmouth Backpackers. So bear in mind, the van cost me £600, whereas renting that broom cupboard in a house would have cost £650, plus bills on top of that. But that first day that I'd got the van, I decided there and then I was going to live in it that evening, from that evening. So I rushed down to Trago Mills, which is down there at the bottom of this road, and I purchased a small gas stove and some gas bottles, a duvet, sleeping bag and a roll mat to put over the foam mattress that was already in the back of the van. And I crashed in it overnight, and there was ice on the inside in the morning when I woke up. But wow, did I sleep well. I absolutely adored my first night in that van. And I realised there and then that this was a lifestyle I was going to absolutely love. And it's now, where are we? September, end of September 2024. So that's 2018. That little van lasted from February 2018 to, I think it was December last year, December 2023. Had over 200,000 miles on the clock. Yeah, had nothing wrong with it until that last year, 2023, when everything started to go wrong in the van, sadly. But it kept me going for 6 years, a little bit more than 6 years. Rent-free, still had to pay council tax because I paid that on the place where the vehicle was registered, which is my mum's place, where I nominally have a room. So I was still paying council tax. But apart from that, the bills were absolutely minimal, incredibly cheap way to live. So the van went pear-shaped. And I was very lucky because I was in Ventnor at the time. So I usually spend my time between Cornwall and Ventnor, and often Norwich as well, and various other places in southern England. I'm remarkably non-nomadic for a digital nomad van dweller. I tend to either be in Ventnor, mostly in Ventnor, or down here in Falmouth, in Cornwall, or very occasionally in the east of England. So because I was effectively a part of the furniture in Ventnor, I know loads and loads of people, friends with loads and loads of people, never had any problems there in terms of living in a vehicle. I used to live in a house there. Well, that's where my parents' house was. Because I had so many friends, I had several offers of a room to crash in, because the van was obviously written off, and I was effectively homeless at that stage, and I didn't have much money in the bank by then, which was one of the lessons I've learnt, which is build up a big chunk of cash in the bank just in case. But at the time I decided, rather than take up the offer of one of the rooms, I took up an offer of a shed basically, and I crashed in there over December, January, February I think it was, over Christmas. That was fun. I did actually enjoy that because it was right on the bay of my hometown, in my beach, overlooking the beach. It was really, really nice. But it was cold. So yeah. But and then one of the local lifeguards there was selling his car. So his car this time. And I thought, well, hang on, can I live in a tiny car? So his car was a Citroen C1. A Citroen, like the Blingo is a Citroen. So quite a reliable vehicle, but tiny, absolutely tiny. And I bought it for £400, I think. Might have been 500, I think it's £400. So I bought that Citroen C1 around about, it was either January or February this year, 2024. And I looked on YouTube just before I bought it actually, and discovered that other people have done micro camper builds in C1s. And there was 7 foot, or there is 7 foot between the front of the passenger kind of area at the front of the vehicle and the very back of the vehicle. So I ripped out I purchased a car, ripped out the passenger seat, and kind of piled some of my few remaining books into the passenger well where the seat used to be, and balanced a plank of wood to create a bed basically. And that kind of prototype bed frame, which basically balances on my stored books, has worked remarkably well. So now it's September 2024 and I've been in it since January or February 2024. So I've kind of demonstrated that you can indeed live in a car, a very small one, just as you can live in a very small van. I'm planning to carry on in the car over winter here in southern England. I'll spend my time mostly in Ventnor on the Isle of Wight, but also probably down here a bit in Falmouth, still attached to the university in some ways. And I'm going to attempt, so my bank account is becoming a bit more healthy because I've been doing some well-paid work, reasonably well-paid work anyway. Yeah, I'm going to try and resolve that big lesson, try and address that big lesson, which is you really should have a healthy bank balance, plenty of savings. Because van life is cheap, but if it goes wrong, if your van is written off, you're in trouble. So what I need to do now, whilst I'm in Cornwall, whilst I'm in Falmouth, is get back down to Trago Mills and stock up on bits and pieces I need to do to winterise the car, I mean, to make it livable during the winter. It's already getting cold at night. It was cold last night. So I need to get a duvet or a sleeping bag, a new one, and probably get some extra foam for the bed, and got some timber underneath the bed at the moment, which was given to me by somebody in Ventnor. I need to use that to build a proper bed frame before the winter sets in and do some insulating. I'll try and record some of this at least for a video. Do some insulation. Not quite sure I'm going to do that in a car. It was easier in the van. Not that I really insulated the van in any meaningful way. Yeah, and see how the winter goes. So hopefully you're going to follow me along for the next few months as I'm getting the car ready and living in it over winter, to see if it really is feasible to spend a whole winter living in a tiny Citroen C1. So do subscribe to the channel and press the like button if you like this little overview of my van and car life experience so far, and stay tuned for subsequent videos, and I'll post a link to a playlist of other van and car life videos on my channel. If you want to support me, you can do so. There are links in the description to the video, like buymeacoffee.com, that kind of stuff. Got a few links. I write books, so there's some links to those as well in the description to this video. And now I'm going to head down into a cafe in Falmouth, get some decaf coffee and watch the football. Saturday as a car life, as a car dweller. But before we do that, I'm going to go down these steps down here. What are they called? Jacob's Ladder. That's it. This pub is called Jacob's Ladder, as I believe are the steps. So let's go down there. Yeah, it says Jacob's Ladder on the wall over there. I do love Falmouth. Doesn't sound very nice, the name, but it's a lovely town. It's certainly not foul. Let's go down to the square in Falmouth and find that cafe. If you yourself are a van dweller or a car dweller, or you're considering taking it up, do comment in the comment section below the video. If you've got any questions, I might do a Q&A, so I might start to do Q&A videos. So if any of you have questions, do post them in the comments section, and I'll endeavour to answer them in future question and answer sessions. I already have a membership set up where you can pay a monthly kind of little subscription and get some little extras. I've not got any members yet. It's been there for a while, but nobody's joined. But when people do start to join, if they ever do, then there'll be some bonus videos for those people. So do consider that as well. God, this is steep steps. I did go through a phase of attempting to run up these steps, but there's a lot of them, as you can see. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will get down to the cafe now because football's about to start, and you're welcome to join me on the next video for another walk.